On the day we were supposed to get our marriage license, my girlfriend said she was busy and stood me up again. When I got home, I found a wedding certificate of hers with her male assistant. The registration date was today. I laughed, put the marriage certificate on my desk, and immediately broke up with her. The next moment, my girlfriend called me. Her tone was impatient. "Howard, what's your problem? Aren't you too old for this drama?" Just as I was about to speak, I heard her assistant crying over the phone. "Nancy, did Howard misunderstand us? You should go home. I can manage on my own. Don't worry about him. It's always the same tiresome story with him. Right now, you're what's important," my girlfriend said soothingly. After the call ended, I was done. As I was packing my things to move out, Nancy, my girlfriend, walked in with her assistant Billy, supporting him. "Howard, make some sugar water quickly. Billy just fainted from low blood sugar," Nancy ordered, focused entirely on Billy and not even looking up at me. I looked up but didn't rush to welcome her back as I used to. Instead, I continued packing. Seeing my lack of response, Nancy finally looked up with a frown. "Howard, can't you understand people talk?" She was to Billy aback when she saw what I was doing. Then her face dark-billied as she quickly approached. "Howard, what are you doing? Are you seriously thinking of breaking up with me?" Without stopping, I lazily replied, "Is breaking up a joke? You?" Nancy was at a loss for words, glaring at me coldly. "What? I mean, you're the one bringing your husband home. I better make some space for him," I mocked, taking a quick look at Billy. "Howard, what do you mean? I don't get it," Nancy stammered, visibly nervous and avoiding eye contact. I scoffed, tossing the marriage certificate at her. "Nancy, are you serious? Can't own up to your actions?" Seeing the two marriage certificates, she panicked, yelling in frustration. "Howard, what kind of tricks are you playing? How did this get into your hands?" I smirked, not bothering to answer. In the tense atmosphere, Billy spoke up in a tearful voice. "Nancy, I sent it to the wrong place. It's my fault for arguing with Howard because we got married." He started sobbing. "Billy, it's not your fault." Nancy quickly turned sympathetic, walking over to Billy protectively. "Now that you know, I won't hide it anymore." Billy was diagnosed with late-stage stomach cancer a couple of days ago. He doesn't have much time left, and his last wish is to marry me. You know, Billy's been with me since he graduated, always helping me out. He's not just my assistant, he's a friend. When a friend is in trouble, I can't stand by. Howard, you can understand, right? Nancy looked at me with hopeful eyes. I turned away dismissively. He's your assistant, your friend, and your husband. Handle things with him. Talking to me won't help. Seeing my resolve, she frowned again. Howard, is this really necessary? How can you be so heartless? I've already said I'd marry you. Does it matter if it's sooner or later? Billy's sick. How can you be so cold to him? Billy bowed his head, tears streaming down. I paused, looking at the pair standing together. They did seem well matched in their act. I suddenly laughed. It did sting seeing someone I loved take care of another man. But our relationship was tainted, and I didn't want to get tangled up anymore. Yep, I'm cold-hearted. I'll leave right away so he won't have to see me. I nodded and then quickly left with my suitcase. As I passed Nancy, she grabbed me, her words laced with finality. Howard, just quit it. Apologize to Billy right now, and we can forget all this ever happened. If not, she trailed off as if threatening. I cut her off with sarcasm. Or what? Beg you never to ask me back? I'm supposed to apologize? Who is he to me? Nancy's face fell, her voice ringing with warning. Howard, enough. This is your last chance. Apologize to Billy. Otherwise, don't blame me for turning my back on you. In the silence, Billy tugged at Nancy's sleeve, acting all understanding. Nancy, don't be mad at Howard. He's not wrong. It's all my fault. I'm the one who should go. Seeing this, Nancy dropped me and rushed to comfort Billy. I took that chance to walk out with my suitcase without looking back. Right before leaving, Nancy's icy voice echoed clearly behind me. Howard, once you step out, don't expect to come back. I want to see what kind of life a loser like you can have without me. I paused for a moment, glancing back. It wasn't out of reluctance or second thoughts. I just wanted to see clearly the girl I once loved so much. Then, without hesitation, I walked away. Nancy was once my unattainable love and my only choice. She was always the high and mighty princess, and I was just a nobody. We met in college, but sadly we never crossed paths before. I followed her schedule religiously, whether it was going to class, eating, or taking walks. In the end, just to see her more, I decided to work hard and switched majors to her school. Until today, my biggest relief was having made that choice to switch majors, because it brought me closer to Nancy. Our professor said that if we didn't want to fail at the end of the semester, we had to form our own teams to run data for experiments. Despite being one of the top students, Nancy rejected everyone and asked to team up with me. I remember how thrilled I was then. Seeing her beautiful face, my heart raced, and my cheeks turned so red they could boil an egg. Nancy rested her chin on her hand, looking at me with a twinkle in her eye, teasingly said, "Howard, if you keep staring, the bell's going to ring soon." The class burst into laughter, and I snapped back, feeling utterly embarrassed. But Nancy didn't mean to make fun of me. She jumped in and said, "Stop laughing. Teaming up with Howard is my honor." And just like that, Nancy and I got closer and closer. In the end, she was the one who confessed to me. We spent 3.5 wonderful years together in college. We were the kind of couple everyone envied. Even though I was in love, I never slacked on my studies. I held on to my full scholarship throughout and even landed an offer from a major international company after graduation. But Nancy was the only child in her family, so she had to go back home to take over the family business. Seeing her sad eyes not wanting to part with me, I didn't hesitate to turn down a once-in-a-lifetime job offer to join her at the company, helping her make a solid start there. To avoid people saying I capitalized on connections, I started from the bottom. Our relationship grew even stronger, and once I felt the time was right, I proposed to her. But each time she turned me down. When I asked why, she'd just be vague. Later, I found out she already had Billy in her life. Billy was younger, more energetic, and knew how to make her happy. Gradually, our conversations shifted from everything under the sun to the little daily details she shared with Billy. I noticed the change, and I tried hard to mend things. But her heart was elsewhere for a long time. No matter how I tried to convince her to stay, a single call from Billy would have her rushing to him no matter the weather. She gave him all the care and patience she used to show me. All I got were cold looks and complaints. Even so, I couldn't let go, and I proposed once again. This time, she said yes. But on the day we were to get our marriage certificate, she stood me up for Billy. When I saw their marriage certificate, I knew it was finally time to face reality. When I went back to the old, rundown place my parents left me, seeing their photos on the wall, I broke down and cried. After letting it all out, I tidied up, bought some necessities, and settled in. Lying on my childhood bed, my restless heart finally found peace. It was the best sleep I'd had in a long time. No worrying about Nancy's mood or whether she was eating and dressing well. In my dream, I saw my long-departed parents. I hadn't even begun to talk to them when the dream turned sour. Nancy was there, asking why I was so harsh with Billy. She pulled at my sleeve, insisting I apologize to him. Anger flared up in me, but then I was jolted awake by the shrill ring of my phone. I answered groggily, and Nancy's angry voice blasted at me. "Howard, where have you disappeared to? Did you forget today's company signing party? Everyone's got a date, and I'm left alone. Are you trying to embarrass me?" I snapped to full awareness, barely restraining my frustration as I held the phone away. "If that's what you think." "Sure, Howard." Nancy raised her voice, then I heard her move, probably switching rooms. She sighed and softened her tone. "Howard, it's a big day for the company. Can you stop playing games and come over? The signing starts soon, and we can talk everything over after the party tonight." There was a moment's pause in my resolve as she spoke so reasonably. Before I could answer, I overheard people laughing and joking on her end. "Wow, Billy looks like a groom today. Totally, he and Nancy really match today." Billy's voice chimed in. Cut it out. I just threw this on. Seeing I was silent for too long, Nancy called me again. I scoffed. Nancy, isn't your partner already there? Don't call me again. Not letting her respond, I quickly ended the call. Because I knew if I stayed on the line any longer, I wouldn't be able to hold back my sadness. I didn't want to dwell on the past, but 5 years of memories were deeply woven into my life. All those days and nights I spent loving her. I never imagined what life without her would be like. The Nancy from back then would put me first, promising forever. But the Nancy now doesn't need me anymore. Tears dripped onto my pillow as memories startled me awake. I felt pain inside my heart, but before I could process it, there was furious knocking at the door. My first thought was that she was here, my body moving faster than my mind. When I opened the door barefoot, I realized just how foolish I'd just been. Howard, it really is you, you're back? The neighborhood committee lady was thrilled to see me, giving my shoulder an enthusiastic pat. Yes, ma'am. I'm back. Is there something you need? Yes, I got sidetracked there. She got serious. Howard, you should come down and take a look. There's a bunch of black cars blocking the road for you, and our neighborhood's already got narrow streets. The neighbors can't even come and go properly. I frowned and followed her downstairs. At the front, I saw Nancy's black car parked at the entrance. As soon as I showed up, the bodyguard opened the car door, and Nancy stepped out in high heels. I turned to leave, but behind me, Nancy called out sternly, Howard, stop right there. I ignored her and picked up my pace. But the next second her personal bodyguard was blocking my way. Howard, what is this supposed to mean? Nancy caught up in her heels, giving me a slap before asking without a second thought, You've gone too far. I turned away, not a trace of the love in my eyes she used to see. For a moment, she looked stunned, then spoke coldly. Do you know I left a room full of guests just to come get you? Now hurry up. I didn't want to deal with her, but the small alley began to fill with curious neighbors. I didn't want to be the center of gossip, even though I didn't want to be with Nancy. After weighing my options, I grudgingly got into Nancy's car in my pajamas. The back seat window rolled down, and there was Billy, all suited up, looking a bit guilty. Howard, sorry man, he said. I'm feeling a bit off, so Nancy had me sit in the back with her. Hope you don't mind sitting up front. Nancy appeared next, catching me glancing at Billy in the back seat. She seemed a bit awkward. She opened the back door for me, trying to ease the situation. Billy's not feeling too great, so I thought I'd take him for a drive. You don't mind, right, Howard? There's plenty of room back here for the three of us. I quickly shifted my gaze and slid into the passenger seat. I don't mind. Nancy looked a bit annoyed by my reaction, and although she opened her mouth as if to say something, she ended up staying silent. She slammed the back door and barked, Drive. As the car pulled away, curious neighbors followed with their eyes. Nancy's expression turned darker, and with a sharp tone, she said, I really can't believe people live in such a dump, wearing high fashion and coming to a place like this. Such bad luck. I gave her a hard look through the rearview mirror and remarked sarcastically, Nancy, if you're so above all this, maybe you shouldn't have come today. You, Billy, sensing the tension, spoke softly, Nancy, if me coming out is making Howard upset, maybe I should switch places with him. Nancy glared at me through the rearview mirror and said fiercely, You stay put. Let me see what he does to you. I acted like I didn't hear her, leaned back, and closed my eyes to rest up for the battle ahead. Since Nancy's not letting go so easily, I've got to play my own cards. The car finally stopped at a hotel owned by the company. Still seething, Nancy got out as soon as the car came to a halt. Her bodyguard trailed closely behind me, making sure I wasn't going to bail. Billy approached me with a mocking grin as I slowly got out of the car. Gone was his usual meek demeanor, now replaced with arrogance. He blocked my path and sneered, Howard, don't get too comfortable. Nancy's my wife now, and you're nothing but a side piece. Just watch, in the end it'll be me standing next to her. Congratulations then, Billy. Finally, the underdog becomes the star, I said with a smirk, clapping my hands sarcastically as I brushed past him into the building. See, I knew today wasn't about me per se. The company was signing a deal with a top corporation I had secured. The corporation's execs only wanted to deal with me. They made it clear that if I wasn't the one handling things, the deal was off. So Nancy had to suck it up and personally pick me from the slums to ensure the deal went through. Reaching the entrance of the banquet hall, Nancy met me again. She looked me up and down, unimpressed by my cheap pajamas, and sneered. "Is that what you're wearing? How embarrassing." Without another word, she dragged me backstage to a dressing room. She tossed me a suit matching her white dress and instructed the makeup artist, "Make him presentable, and hurry up." I was like a puppet as they fussed over me. Looking at my reflection, I barely recognized myself. "Now you at least look human," Nancy commented sharply from behind, arms crossed. Her tone made me roll my eyes. Honestly, I couldn't care less about the facade, especially since this was my last night in her world. I was leaving her world after tonight, so what people thought of me didn't matter. Once dressed, Nancy brusquely linked arms with me and led me into the banquet hall. The moment we walked in, the lights came down on us. Conversations and clinking glasses came to a stop. I was dazed, feeling like we had inadvertently stepped into a wedding ceremony. My suspicion was confirmed the next moment. The host cleared his throat, commencing with a vow recital that wished love everlasting. He then announced the signing ceremony would follow Nancy's engagement event. By the time the host's voice faded, I finally snapped out of my shock. I tried to break free from Nancy's grip, but she held on tightly. "Howard, you better play along today." Her tone was full of unyielding warning. I scoffed and wrenched my arm free with all my might. As everyone watched in stunned curiosity, I calmly said, "This engagement is Nancy's little play, one I didn't consent to or know about. Nancy and I are over. She's already tied the knot with her assistant Billy. I don't make a habit of wrecking homes." Finally, I solemnly declared, "As of today, I'm no longer with the company. From now on, I'll have no hand in any of its business." With a smile, I turned to Nancy and said, "I quit. The breach penalty is already in your account. From now on, we go our separate ways." Nancy was left speechless, staring at me in disbelief, clutching her dress in stunned silence. With that, I walked out. Seeing I wasn't joking, the clients shattered their glass in anger and left, calling it a joke. The smaller, invited companies stayed, eager for gossip. As I reached for the door, Nancy finally snapped back to reality. She yelled orders at her men while running towards me. "Howard, stop!" Blocked again by her goons, I paused and turned back to her. Nancy tugged at me with a pout. "Howard, how could you? We had an agreement." Billy arrived then, watching the scene warily. "Nancy, I'm feeling ill. Could you stay with me?" She didn't spare him a glance. Her eyes locked on me with hope. "Howard, stop messing around and don't be mad anymore. Please?" The scene fell into an awkward silence, with everyone holding up phones, recording like crazy. I kindly reminded Nancy, but she seemed like she didn't hear me, clutching onto me tightly. Suddenly, I lost my cool and sneered. "Nancy, you might not care, but I do. It was you who ditched me to marry someone else. I let you go, but now you're clinging to me like glue. What do you even want?" "It's not like that, Howard. I've always loved you. I'm divorcing Billy soon, and we'll get married right away." By now, Nancy knew I wasn't playing games. She started crying, her tears falling hard as she looked up at me hopefully. I stared back with no emotion, feeling my patience slip away. Once upon a time, a single tear from her would have made me feel guilty for days. But now, seeing her crocodile tears, all I felt was disgust. I calmly said, "Nancy, you have no heart. Your new husband is staring at you, hoping you'd look back. But here you are, tangling with me in front of him. How humiliating for a man." As I spoke, I shot Billy a challenging glance. Nancy frowned tightly, signaling her bodyguards to remove him. No matter how he shouted, she didn't even spare him a glance, just kept crying, assuring me, "Howard, you're the only one I want to marry. I messed up and it won't happen again." Honestly, if past me heard this, I'd have given her my all. But now, I disgustedly shrugged her off. Your family's company is huge. You wouldn't want it ruined on your watch, right? If you don't care about the stock prices dropping, I don't mind bickering with you here. After that, Nancy finally released me, trembling, and I pushed open the door and hurried out. I didn't expect Nancy to chase after me. Her high heels were lost long ago, leaving a trail of bloody footprints behind her. I sighed silently and waited for my ride share. As she saw me, she ran to me, but halted when she saw my cold expression. Howard, I've thought it over. Nothing matters more than you. My dad can handle the company. She sounded sincere and I got her hint. Seeing I didn't mock her, she cautiously reached out to hold my hand. Howard, my feet hurt, she said, tears welling up. I didn't respond, looking past her at someone behind her. Your real husband should be the one to console you, not me, your ex. Hearing this, Nancy got emotional, then calmed down. She boldly wrapped her arms around me. Howard, quit being passive-aggressive. I know I was wrong. I followed you out. Doesn't that show my love? I quietly looked into her eyes. Her love for me? No. More like her privilege always had others spoiling her. She wanted to conquer my denial, but once I gave in, I'd lose all value to her. Your husband is watching. Go comfort him. It's not right to let him wear that heartbroken look, I said. Nancy spun around. Billy came over and held her. Nancy, don't leave with him. Let's go home. Okay? I added, Nancy, don't do things you'll regret. You've chosen. No turning back. From now on, I don't want to see you again. Maybe my repeated rejection hurt her pride. She pushed Billy aside to take his arm instead, glaring at me. Howard, you're the one who doesn't appreciate kindness. I was nice and you didn't care, pushing me to anger. Fine, let's never see each other again. I'll see which company hires someone our company let go, she threatened. I shot back, bring it on. The scene at the company banquet hit the top of trending searches that night. Somehow, my number got leaked, and reporters hounding for gossip called until my phone died. I blocked a batch, but more calls came right after. I finally canceled our shared phone number at the store early the next day. Peace at last. Just when I wanted to live quietly, Nancy pulled another stunt. She blocked my neighborhood with 3 cars, threatening to stay unless I went with her. I wasn't scared of nosy neighbors anymore. I was worried the scene would draw reporters. Then my peace would be gone for good. I got in her car, seething. When Nancy saw me, her eyes brightened for a second, then went flat. I noticed it and watched her silently. Nancy, did you forget what you said before? Why are you here again? My tone was distant. She lowered her gaze. Howard, my dad's in the hospital and wants to see you. Gone was her arrogance from that night. I stayed silent. We reached the hospital in silence. Nancy's father looked pale, lying in bed. Papa, Nancy called softly from behind me, nervously twisting her fingers. He responded with a stern hum, just one syllable bursting with authority. I glanced at Nancy, noticing her nervous mannerisms. If it were before, I'd have held her hand, assuring her it's all okay. But now, I just stepped aside, casually sitting on the leather couch, staring straight at the company's boss. What is it? Let's get to the point. I guess you're already aware of the company's stock plummeting. I asked you here today for one reason only, to have Howard and my daughter marry soon. Nancy's dad said, still coughing into his hand. Even though he seemed weak, his tone was unmistakably firm. The caretaker next to him helped him with his back. Nancy wanted to step forward but hesitated, casting a desperate look at me for help. I calmly shifted my gaze and said casually, is Lily's company giving yours a hard time? Lily's the owner of that leading company that only wants my skills and is willing to sign a contract with me. Nancy's father, finally done coughing, replied, Howard is a smart guy. I just smiled at that. I got it clear as day. Our company isn't as powerful, and upsetting Lily left them with no way to seek reconciliation. Knowing Lily's company holds me in high regard, they decided to use me as their play. From the start, I've been nothing but a tool for those in charge, without any regard for my rights. If Howard agrees, my little girl's silly marriage can end, and he can have a happy life with her. Nancy looked at me expectantly, tears shimmering in her eyes. I smiled back at her and said slowly, "Sorry, I don't take anyone else's leftovers." As soon as I said that, Nancy's dad furiously threw a cup at Nancy. "Useless. You're the cause of this mess. Don't you know your place? How dare you act up in front of me?" He barked, sneaking glances at me now and then. Blood streamed down Nancy's forehead, yet she stubbornly lifted her tear-stained face and looked right at me. Seeing her hurt, I remained calm as a lake. I didn't speak, just watched coldly and then sneered before turning away. Nancy's dad had never been ignored like this by someone younger, his longtime superiority now replaced by defeat. He leaped from his bed, raging and cursing readily. For the first time, Nancy disobeyed her father to run after me, sobbing, "Howard, there are no more obstacles between us. Do you really not want to marry me?" I was still fuming from her father's treatment. "Then get out of my way," I snapped. Nancy shook her head in pain, clinging to my shirt. "Howard, you've never treated me like this. Is there really no chance? I already divorced him. I only ever loved you. But I don't love you anymore. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Howard, you loved me so much before. Remember?" Nancy cried out desperately, confronting me. I pursed my lips. Looking at her, "You realize that's in the past, right? The person I loved is long gone in my heart." My words stabbed Nancy deeply, like a thorn. She clutched her head, denying it repeatedly. Out of patience for her apologies, I pushed her away and turned to leave. Nancy fell to the ground, wailing and crying loudly behind me. With a frown, I walked off in long strides. After that day, I cut off all contact with Nancy. I didn't focus on the company's situation, but I eventually caught the news on TV. To appease an enraged Lily's company, they had to pay high violation fees, resulting in massive layoffs to cut costs. Complaints filled the air, with negative news about the company pouring in from all sides. Without its foundation, the company was close to crumbling during this crisis. Honestly, I felt nothing. It's all Nancy's own doing. Just when I decided to go abroad for further studies, Lily's company somehow got my number. A senior executive personally extended an offer. I admit it was tempting, but thinking about possibly facing Nancy at work, I declined. I contacted my old professor from college, asking about studying abroad. He was surprised but also regretted I missed the chance at a big company job back then. In the end, he reassured me that it was never too late to try. "Howard, you're a bright talent, you'll surpass me someday," he complimented. Living up to his expectations, I nailed the toughest admission exam and got into an Ivy League school abroad. Professor was so thrilled, he called all my classmates from our year, planning a big reunion party. That's where I bumped into Nancy again. Seeing her caught me off guard. I froze for a minute. It was Nancy who broke the silence first. "Howard, long time no see." She approached with a smile, but it never quite reached her eyes. I looked down nervously, unsure of what to say. Nancy noticed my observation and laughed self-deprecatingly. "I must look awful now." "Not really, just a bit worn out," I replied honestly. Maybe my harsh attitude last time caught her off guard because, when I spoke calmly, her eyes turned red. "Howard, I thought you never wanted to speak to me again," she said quietly, stepping closer. I stepped back uneasily, frowning slightly. "Don't overthink it. As long as you keep your distance, I'm fine with being old classmates." My cautious retreat froze Nancy in her tracks. Her eyes filled with a drowning sadness. Suddenly feeling annoyed, I ended the chat with, "Let's catch up later. You should get inside. The professor's already here." I tossed that over my shoulder and headed into the room first. As I celebrated with classmates, the alcohol got to me. The professor, pleading exhaustion, left early. Everyone understood. He was giving us room to let loose. Conversations drifted from one thing to another. Eventually, everyone started talking about me. I laughed and answered each question. But when everyone started talking about how Nancy and I were a perfect couple in their eyes, I couldn't help but look a bit cold. I raised my glass and toasted to Nancy from a distance. Nancy is the daughter of the company's boss, and I'm not worthy of her. But I still want to thank her. Nancy is truly great. She taught me how to be an independent man. I downed my drink and then changed the subject. Let's talk about something else. So our beauty queen doesn't feel uncomfortable. Quite a few people knew we broke up and, sensing the awkward vibe, they laughed and helped steer the conversation elsewhere. But a few people, who once chased after Nancy and didn't know the details, kept pushing us to play couple games. Seeing me put down my glass and stop engaging, Nancy jumped in. Howard has had a bit too much tonight. Let's not do any games. Let's just chat casually. People still wouldn't give up. Under their urging, Nancy came over to my side. I don't know who pushed her, but she ended up in my arms. Instinctively, I jumped up, but Nancy quickly wrapped her arms around my neck. She gave me a desperate look. The classmates started chanting for a kiss, and she moved towards my lips. At the last second, my patience wore thin. I pried her fingers away and stepped back to create some distance. With a dark expression, I said, "Enough. Nancy, others might not know our situation and joke around, but how could you not know? Howard." Nancy bit her lower lip, looking at me pitifully. I ignored her, turning to everyone. "Nancy and I broke up a while ago. The reason is she secretly married someone else." Amidst their shocked reactions, I added, "Sorry, I've had a bit too much. I'm heading out." I couldn't stay in that suffocating space any longer. I pushed the door open and fled. I never thought Nancy would become so clingy. I started to miss the old her, the one who looked down on everything with pride. "Nancy, can you stop?" I halted in my steps, speaking irritably. "Chasing after me like this only makes me dislike you more." Tears rolled down her cheeks as she softly said, "Howard, I know you're going abroad, and I know I can't keep you. I just want to look at you a few more times while I still can." I closed my eyes, swallowing all emotions, and said calmly, "I saw Billy's posts. Didn't you two reconcile? You even went to places we had planned to visit together. I'm happy for you. It's not like that." Nancy stepped closer in her agitation, but upon seeing my cold expression, she lowered her gaze and retreated a step. "I've ended things with Billy completely. He wasn't sick, he lied to me. It's my fault, all my fault, Howard. I truly regret it." Her tears flowed silently, shoulders shaking. If I could turn back time, I would have held her and comforted her softly. But sadly, the past is beyond reach. "Nancy, none of this matters to me anymore. Let me go and free yourself too." The day I left for abroad, it rained in this city. Dragging my suitcase, I walked into the airport and caught sight of Nancy from the corner of my eye. She was all suited up, following me not too close, not too far. With a sigh, I entered the lounge. She sat right behind me, watching silently through her sunglasses. I pretended not to notice, put on my headphones, and waited quietly to board. Then, just before leaving, an unexpected call came. "Boss? Howard, there's no need to be so formal. Isn't calling me uncle more familiar?" Nancy's father's tone had lost its previous sharpness. I glanced at Nancy, then replied coolly, "We aren't that close. It's more polite to call you boss." Hearing my response, Nancy gripped her white dress tightly. Noticing her small gesture in my peripheral vision, I stayed indifferent and said, "Mr. Lee, just say what you want to say." The line went silent. Then Nancy's father sighed deeply. "Howard, if I apologize now, would you give Nancy another chance?" In front of the two marriage certificates, she was completely panicked, angrily growling. "Howard, what kind of trick are you playing? How did you get this marriage certificate? You've been with Nancy for years. I admit I never thought highly of you, but I never intervened. Nancy has been pampered since childhood. I always thought she was just playing with your relationship. After all, you two aren't from the same social class. Ever since the breakup, the kid's been struggling and her health's gone downhill. As her father, it's been heartbreaking to watch. If anything I did upset you, I'm sincerely sorry. I just hope you'll give Nancy another chance, remembering the good times you two had." I put my phone on speaker and stood up, looking at Nancy. "Boss, since that's the case, let me make it clear today. Nancy and I are nothing more than strangers from now on. no other relationship at all. The day I left, Nancy passed out crying in the airport lounge. She fell and her sunglasses came off, revealing her pretty face. All the guys rushed over to check on her. Seeing this, I deleted the emergency number off my phone screen and walked away with my suitcase. Even when I was in line to board the plane, I felt uneasy, worried those two might cause trouble again. It wasn't until I was seated on the plane that my heart finally settled. Looking out at the blue sky and white clouds, I felt a little bit of relief. After the plane landed, breathing in the foreign air, I suddenly had the urge to cry. Sniffling, I pushed aside my worries and walked over to the senior who came to pick me up. During my time abroad, I was absorbed in my studies, leaving no room for other thoughts. If it hadn't been for that late-night call from across the ocean, I might have completely forgotten Nancy. Hello? Howard? Nancy just passed away. Before she died, she made me promise to contact you. She wanted to tell you, Howard, in the next life I definitely won't miss out on you again. The call ended. I was dazed for just a moment. Then I powered off my phone and went back to sleep.